Welcome to episode 2, and today we're exploring coming back to our senses. Have you ever noticed how difficult it can be to keep our attention in the present moment? Maybe we're having our morning shower whilst planning an important presentation, or commuting to work whilst thinking about a shopping list. In fact, maybe like me, you've been driving a familiar journey with a parcel in the car that you were intending to drop off, only to find that you've reached your end destination without remembering to stop at the post office. It's as if we're running on autopilot. In this way, we can miss out on being present in the very moments of our lives. Mindfulness invites us to wake up to this, to wake up to autopilot. And the good news is, mindfulness also offers a way to consciously come back to the here and now. Indeed, Jon Kabat-Zinn, developer of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program, has famously described mindfulness as the awareness that arises when we pay attention on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. In today's episode, we'll be exploring that for ourselves. I will introduce an exercise that's commonly held in week 1 of an 8-week mindfulness course. It's called the raisin practice, and it invites us to bring attention to each of our senses. It's a really practical introduction to meditation, and it can help demystify mindfulness, showing us that actually being mindful is not just about sitting still in meditation. It's also about being present for the small and precious moments of our lives, tasting our morning coffee, feeling our morning shower on our skin, savouring the flavours of a snack, or really being present during a conversation with a friend. Mindfulness is something that's best experienced, so without further ado, let's share the raisin practice together. Welcome to the raisin practice. So, as the name maybe suggests, we're going to need a raisin for this practice, or a similar piece of dried fruit, or perhaps a nut, or other small piece of food that you can easily hold in your hand. So maybe pressing pause right now and going to fetch your raisin, or if you don't have raisins in the house, then another small item of food, and I'll be waiting for you here when you get back. So, in this practice, there's an invitation to literally come back to our senses. We're going to use our sense gateways to really explore the raisin that we've got with us. And we're also going to, as best we can, invoke an attitude of what's sometimes called beginner's mind. So imagining perhaps that we'd never seen a raisin before. We'd never experienced it. We didn't know what it was. Or I sometimes like to suggest almost like a wild animal in the forest, sniffing and exploring something to try and work out if it's good to eat. So as best you can, bringing an attitude of curiosity, of beginner's mind, and of course, making any adaptations that you need to the practice to make it work for you. So feeling free not to eat the raisin when the time comes, but simply to explore it through your other senses. So taking care of yourself in this way. So when you're ready, maybe with your preferred hand, reaching out and picking up your raisin. And beginning by placing it flat on your non-preferred hand. And we'll begin with the sense of touch. So just sensing into where the raisin or object of food you have is in contact with the palm of the hand. Does it feel light or heavy? Can you feel its texture, whether it's sticky or dry, a bit moist, or whether it's rough or smooth? And maybe it's so light, it's difficult to tell. So taking the thumb and forefinger and slowly, consciously moving them towards your object to pick it up, and noticing how the arm and the fingers know exactly how to perform this complicated motion. And then exploring through touch the object, maybe rolling it between your finger and thumb, noticing whether it's rough or smooth, whether it has ridges or edges, maybe rolling it around to see how it feels from different angles. Maybe even closing your eyes for a moment as you feel the object in your fingers. Just tuning in to the feedback of moving this object around against the sensitive fingertips, almost as if you could read the object through your fingertips. And then if you've closed your eyes, when you're ready, opening them and letting the sense of touch fade into the background for now, moving to the sense of sight, holding your object up to the light maybe, and noticing if it's translucent or opaque. Noticing the colours, whether it's one colour or actually a myriad of colours when you look closely. Exploring its ridges and contours and shape. And noticing if there are any thoughts or opinions being formed about the object that you're looking at. As best you can, just noticing them and not needing to fixate on them or follow them to their end conclusion. And then when you're ready, letting go of this sense of sight for now and moving to hearing. So maybe beginning by just holding the raisin flat in your palm and listening. Does it make any sound? And then perhaps bringing it up to one ear and the other. Shaking it, rubbing it between fingers. Noticing if the mind wanders, starts telling stories or wandering off, or thinking, this is stupid, what are we doing? Or how long is this going to go on? And just as best you can, noticing and coming back to listening to the raisin. And then letting the sense of hearing go. And inviting the sense of smell now to pay attention. So lifting the raisin up to the nose and again noticing how the arm and the fingers know exactly how to perform this movement. And inhaling deeply, noticing the aroma, whether it's sweet or earthy or spicy, flowery, or something else. Maybe there's not really any aroma at all. Maybe seeing how it alters the experience or not if you cover one nostril and then maybe try on the other side. Maybe noticing if the aroma is clearer in one nostril than the other. And then letting the sense of smell fade into the background. And before we move to the sense of taste, we're going to explore what's sometimes called our sixth sense. This ability of our minds to think, to feel, to create emotions and moods. So just noticing what's here, maybe holding the raisin up again and almost in the background, we see it, we feel it. Maybe we can still smell or hear it. What thoughts are here? Maybe there's an instinctive being drawn to the raisin or being repulsed by it. Maybe there's an eagerness to get going and to taste it, or a slight anxiety about having to taste it, not really wanting to. Or perhaps the raisins evoked memories, associations, and you haven't really been listening to the guidance. You've been off on a daydream. And if that's happened, then nothing wrong. This is what our wandering minds do. But an invitation now to come back to directly sensing the raisin, feeling it in the fingers. And we're going to move now to the sense of taste, if that's okay for you. So an invitation to slowly begin to bring the raisin to the lips, noticing again the muscles, the movement in the arm. And maybe just beginning by rubbing the raisin along the lips, tuning into the texture again, smooth or rough, sticky or dry. Noticing if there's already anticipation in the mouth. And when you're ready, placing the raisin on the tongue, just leaving it there and tuning into the sensations of the raisin resting on the tongue. Noticing if the mind has already been speaking to the body and that's the saliva in the mouth, ready to digest the raisin. Noticing if there are tastes, sweet or savoury, salty, or no taste really at all just yet. And when you're ready, choosing to take a conscious bite, biting into the raisin and exploring the tastes that may be released. And continuing to consciously chew, savouring the tastes as they're released. Noticing if there's been a tendency to rush forward and you've swallowed and finished already, and that's fine if you have. And if you haven't, then consciously becoming aware of the urge to swallow. When you're ready, swallowing the raisin, noticing if there's still some residue in your mouth, maybe continuing to chew and swallow, taking as much time as you need to complete eating that one raisin. And when you've finished, tuning into what the body needs, maybe a drink of water or to go and wash your hands. So I'll be here waiting for you because I'm going to guide you in a few reflective questions to end our practice, but feeling free to press pause if you need to go and get a drink or wash your hands. And when you're ready to continue, an invitation to Maybe grab a pen and paper if that's helpful. Or maybe just sit, feeling the weight of the body in the chair, the feet on the floor. And consider how it was to come back to your senses in this way. Were any of your senses stronger or more accessible than others? Were there any surprises? Did the mind wander? How were you able to relate to this if it did? Maybe there were lots of thoughts and opinions about the raisin. Perhaps a noticing of our instinctive habits of liking or not liking. And an invitation to consider how this compares to how you normally eat. And noticing any thoughts or emotions that might surround that. Maybe an excitement or a curiosity about what this could open up for you if you savoured a few bitefuls of every meal in this really conscious way. We savoured the simple raisin. Or maybe there's a sense of sadness for all the tastes and meals that you haven't really noticed. And there's space for it all. One of the beautiful things about mindfulness is we're not looking to achieve any particular state. We're creating room for it all, kindly acceptance for it all. And a final question as we come to a close. What does paying attention in this way to something as simple as a raisin, what opportunities does that open up for you in the rest of your life? So an invitation to bring this practice to life over the coming weeks. Maybe just an intention to mindfully start each meal in this way, really appreciating the first bite or two through each and every sense. And I very much look forward to being with you again in future practices as we explore together mindful well-being. Thank you.